If you're a business owner or manager, here are 5 things you can start doing right now to improve your employee retention. Remember, employees don't quit the job, they quit the boss. Think about the best place you ever worked. Did you stay there because of what they paid you? Did you stay there because of the nature of the work? Or did you stay because of the way the place made you feel? Number 1, you need to reframe the way you look at the people who work for you. This is very subtle, but very powerful. I remember once planning to lease a business. To do that, I had to have an interview with 3 levels of management. They sat across the table and grilled me with questions for about an hour. One of the things they asked me was, what was it that I was bringing to the table that was most valuable for the business? My answer was that with any business I'd ever had, I always had extremely low turnover. Low turnover makes for a very loyal, skilled group of employees that you can rely on. They asked me how I did that. Well, it's simple. There are 2 ways to look at employees. You can say that employees are costs, and costs always need to be minimized. But the other way to look at it is, employees are people first, employees second. Although you rely on the efforts of the people who work for you to build your business, they are not objects to make you money. And that's the way so many businesses see it these days. If you actually deal with your people honestly and treat them with respect, and if they have a personal issue, be understanding, they will reward you by pulling for you even when you're not there. I remember once having a small business and a manager who'd been with me for 2 years. Around 11 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden she was very upset, and I asked her why. She said, I just got a text that my mother's in the hospital. As soon as I'm done work, I'll be heading into the city. I thought for a moment and then told her, just grab your things and go. Now this was Friday, the busiest day of the week, and there was no way I was going to be able to run that business for the day without her. And she knew that. She said, no, I can't leave. I can't leave you like this. I said, no. I said, just grab your things and go. I have a plan. Now, I didn't have a plan, but once she was in the car, I grabbed the phone. It took me about half hour, but I was able to locate some people and cover my day. I got through it. And it's funny because I'd forgotten all about that. But the last day of that business, she reminded me of that day. She never forgot. These are the rare windows of time that you have with employees. Don't let them pass. It's simple, really. Treat your employees as you would wish to be treated. Number 2, stop micromanaging them. These days, we have so many checklists, procedures, manuals, constant video surveillance, and computer monitoring. It's just off the scale. What better way to tell your employees, we don't trust you? Most companies follow the same path. They begin by having the people on the front lines running the company. They interface with the customers. They understand the suppliers. They know how the business works, and the business grows. But over time, companies always grow more departments to oversee, and then a department to oversee that department, and on and on. Another layer, another department, another layer. Often this is the death of a company, when it can no longer support all these layers of management. I've always found it's best to give employees as much ability to control their workplace as you possibly can. Give them as much freedom as you can. And maybe they don't do things exactly the same as you would. But if they get the same results in the same or less time and are happier, then why not? I experimented with this many years ago when I had a restaurant. I allowed the staff of my restaurant to collaborate and create the schedule. From then on, no one was sick, no one was late, and everyone got the time off that they wanted. I simply worked the core hours and let them work around me. And what do you think that did for morale? From time to time, it's always good to give your employees something they don't know how to do. Give them a job that exceeds their abilities. Give them the time to figure it out. Give them the ability to call for help if they need it, and just wait. When they actually figure it out and solve the problem, what do you think that does for their self-confidence? You put them in a position where they can grow. This approach works at every level. Number 3, integrity. In any dealings you have with your employees, always be honest. One of the worst things that happens is employees are told something when they're hired, only to hear excuses like, well, I ran it up the flagpole and they shot it down. Situations like this destroy any trust that your employees have in you or your company. I've even seen managers throw employees under the bus just to save their own asses. Just some horrible behavior. And then they wonder why their employees are quitting. I spent many years working as an electronics technician for several companies. In one situation, I was transferred to a branch office near Toronto. There were 3 departments in this branch with 3 separate managers. I was told that I would be working for the toughest manager in the office. His name was Don. Now, Don was an old school company man. He was often in the office after hours, even weekends and holidays. He always said that he didn't expect his staff to work like him. He was just doing what he wanted to do. The thing about Don is that he was honest. He never lied to us or manipulated us. He was soft-spoken but consistent. His department was probably 50% more productive than the other 2. Everyone in Don's department went to great lengths to make sure Don was taken care of. At the same time, if you asked Don for some time off or a favor, it went the other way as well. He was probably the best manager I ever knew. He was strong, honest, and humble. So my point here is, always lead by example and always keep your word. If you made a mistake as a boss, admit it. Be a genuine human being. Employees should be able to come to you if they made a mistake or if they have a personal problem. They shouldn't have to feel afraid to be honest with you. Number 4, motivate. So many times I've heard bosses and managers express bewilderment after receiving an employee's resignation. They'll say things like, "I don't understand. We just gave him a raise." Employees don't quit the job. They quit the boss. They quit the corporate culture that they're in. If it feels toxic to an employee, it is, regardless of what the employer thinks. Human nature is such that people will only make a change when the pain of change is less than the pain of staying where they are. Which means that 90% of the time, people leave jobs that they just can't stand anymore. Often people will leave a current job for less money, just for better working conditions. And as I said in point number 3, if your employees trust, respect, and admire you, if they feel valued for their contributions, and if they feel they're growing just a little each year, then they won't leave. But you must do what you can do to establish a connection with your employees. Connect with them as people. Be humble. Be sincere. Be clear on what you expect from them. Do what you say you're going to do. Give them opportunities to learn and grow. Work with them and support them when they need it. It's also very important to weed out the complainers and the lazy ones. Some of these people just go through lives being unhappy. These people are toxic. The worst situation you can have is when your good employees are carrying the weak ones. That destroys morale, and if not rectified, you'll end up with a situation where your good employees leave and your bad employees stay. There are hierarchies in everything. If you have bad employees or weak employees, everyone knows who they are. They know who they are. If an employee is a bad fit and can't be saved, then they must go. Think of it this way. You're taking care of your good employees by letting the bad ones go. Some people are just not a good fit. Number 5. My last point here is a small thing, but it does count. Give your employees some stake in the business's performance. I remember many years ago I was with a company who gave us stock options. Now most of us didn't even know what stock options were. The company's stock went up, and 2 years later when the window opened, 90% of the employees cashed out. They made a couple of $1,000s, and that was that. You see, the company was looking at it from their perspective. No one ever thought to ask the employees what might be a good idea. Now, most employees, especially at entry-level positions, live paycheck to paycheck. They don't think years or months down the road, they think weeks down the road. The shorter the timeline between good performance and bonus, the better. So there you have it, my 5 best recommendations on how to improve your employee retention. I've had over 25 jobs, built and sold 9 businesses in the last 45 years. Now, I was originally trained as a clinical hypnotherapist, but now I have many more tools. I help individuals, groups, and companies make changes to improve their lives and businesses. I'm Bruce Lumley. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.